See if it works. And oh,
We are live, looks like.
is it live for you?
It says live on Facebook, man.
All right, here we go. What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? Hey, guys, what's up? We're doing a quick promo for this coming Monday at the North Houston Real Estate Investors Meetup. We're going to go live online this coming Monday with my man AG. So for those who don't know AG, he runs Real Acquisitions. For those who are outside of the Houston area, he does a lot of Houston stuff, a lot of Houston building, construction stuff. And so AG, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do? All right. And then let's go into that.
Yeah. Hey, guys, this is AG. Good to meet you guys again. If you're in Houston, I'm sure we are a familiar face. If you are logging in, Real Acquisitions since 2009 has been your go-to source for real estate investors, brokers, agents, banks for real estate data, specifically finding information about off-market deals, discounted deals, deals that are on their way, in many cases, 2 to 5 years away from being on the MLS or foreclosure. So we've always been a distressed shadow inventory source for Texas. And then since 2015, we've also been very active in single family construction. We do luxury construction. Specifically our space is a $450 a square foot and higher market. That's what we focus on, and it's been good. We've had a good run for the past 5 years, and we're looking forward to speaking at Gabe's club and adding more value to all you guys out there.
Game on, game on. Okay, so this coming up Monday, we're going to go over, we titled it, just really getting prepared to build wealth, right, in this coming season, because this season is unique. It's never happened before. You're seeing some stuff. You're a great data guy. You have seen a lot of stuff in the past, but then you see stuff moving forward in a lot of different directions. So let's just go over some of the things that you're seeing coming in. So what's number one on our list here?
Yeah, well, so, we'll be talking specifically, guys, about generational wealth, because one thing I've realized that if you are in real estate, can you make short-term money in this business? You sure can. Can you swing it out the ballpark every once in a while? You sure can. But the whole purpose of building a real estate career should be about building generational wealth. And I talk about that. It's a passionate topic of mine. And just like Gabe referred, not necessarily by design, I'd say, but more by chance, the things that I've gotten my hands into gives me a little unique perspective. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Number one, because of Real Acquisitions, we get a chance to see the actual wholesaling and off-market activity happening in our local markets. And what does that mean? Just to give you a perspective, Texas, one of the largest markets in Texas is Harris County, which is home to almost 1.8 million real estate parcels. In this market, we see in the greater Houston area, 80% of which is Harris County, we see an almost about 7,000 to 7,500 residential units getting closed on an average per month. And listen to this carefully. If you consider 7,000 and change residential units happening on market, did you know that on an average, there are about 25,000 deeds filed in your local county clerk's office on a monthly basis. Now, wow. I'll let that sink in for a moment. That 3 times as much transactioneering happening at wow. the real level than what we're capturing on the MLS. Now, granted, a good number of that 25,000 is deed transfers, property being moved because of estate purposes and whatnot, but still there's a massive amount of volume of transaction that does not get captured on the MLS. So we are privy to that. We see that a lot, number one. And we keep a close tabs on that. That gives us, as I said, some unique insight into what's happening in the market. Number two, the largest wholesalers in Texas are on the Real Acquisitions platform. We provide them marketing data, we provide them lists. So we also get a chance to not only interact what they're doing, but we also get a chance to see the kind of transactions they're doing. So that gives us a second perspective specifically in the wholesaling world, in the residential wholesaling world as to what's happening. So I love giving some pointers as to what the big boys, not just beginner wholesalers, but what some of the big boys in the wholesaling world are doing. Number three, construction has given me a chance to make friends with some large commercial brokerages as well as commercial banks as well. And if there's one thing that I will tell you is that whichever direction the commercial lending goes, the actual institutional lending goes, is the direction that real estate follows. There's no doubt about that. So that's a third perspective that as a real estate investor, as a data company, we're able to bring to the fold and offer you some unique ways of looking at the information that's happening in the market space. Now, Gabe asked me to cover the topics, give you a quick pointer on what we'll be talking about. So we'll begin the talk on Monday by talking about what you should not be doing. Everybody's talking about, you should be doing this, you should be doing this. But I want to get into brief little bit of what are the kind of deals that until and unless there is more clarity in the market space, you should absolutely stay away from.
This is good.
Yep. Second thing that we'll jump into briefly is I'd like to point out that yes, there's a lot of posts I see on social media. I see a lot of gurus talking about there's a barrage of foreclosures coming, man. Ramp up your cash, get your cash ready, and there'll be millions of homes in foreclosure in the next few months. Just get them ready to scoop up the market. I got a surprise for you. Ain't gonna happen. There is no barrage coming. There is no craziness that's going to be happening. If you are lining up your money bags to come and buy properties at 30, 40, 50 cents on the dollar, you'd be waiting a long time. So I'll be presenting some data and some statistics to you why I believe that there's no barrage that's coming down the pipeline. That's the second thing we'll talk about. And then I also want to get into what some of the truly big institutions are getting into in the real estate space. You know, not just the guys that do 20, 30 wholesales a month, or guys that are buying a couple hundred transactions or single family residential properties or commercial properties a year, but guys that are massive movers and shakers in our space. How are they positioning themselves? What are some of the things that they're getting into in the last few weeks and months that we see? Because that honestly is the direction that the industry will automatically be tilted, because that's what these big boys are doing. And then we'll end up the conversation by getting into what are some of the simple things that you should be doing if you want to build generational wealth for you and your family. And you know, Gabe, if you have something to say, please hop in. But I do want to end, whenever you give me a chance, I do want to end with a story that got me started on this generational wealth concept. So on to you.
Do it.
Okay. So the story is that, and you know, the reality is that this is a story about me and my grandfather. I was my son's age at that time. So he's 9. So yeah, it must have been about 3rd grade, 9 years old. And the year is about 1983, 84. And there are variations of the story in popular culture that you hear all the time. So I really have no clue if my grandfather was pulling my leg, or was he genuinely, you know, telling me a truthful story. So he says that, hey, AG, and you know, we had this grandfather-grandson moment. He's sitting down, he's giving me this wisdom of the ages, and I'm like all ears about what he's about to tell me, right? So he says, listen, I want to tell you a story about when I was a young man. And this is going back to 1922. So he says in 1922, I was in India at that time, so was he, obviously. And he said in 1922, commercial airlines came to India for the first time, allegedly. And at that time, he got a chance to be on a flight that was flying from Delhi to Bombay, two major metro cities at the time in India. And you know, he was excited because it's first time doing something that's the equivalent of super luxurious thing today, like a commercial airline plane. And he says, I get in the plane, I sit down, and next to me is this old dude. And I'm just eager as a young man to make friends. make new acquaintances. So him and I get into a conversation, and we're just shooting the breeze. We're talking about what's happening, and a few minutes flight takes off, and I say, hey, listen, what do you do? Like, what kind of business, what kind of work you're in? You obviously must be very successful. He says, yeah, we do okay. And by profession, I am a thinker. What this old gentleman tells
Really?
my grandfather, yeah, in 1922, allegedly. So my grandfather didn't question it, the self-image of a super young man. He didn't. And in his mind, he thought, okay, maybe he's an author, maybe he's a philosopher, maybe he's a professor, what have you. So a couple of hours later, when the flight is about to descend and get to its destination, he works up his courage and says, seriously, what do you do? What does that mean? You're a thinker. Because
Right.
you know what? I'm a successful businessman, and essentially my job, my unofficial capacity, my job in my business today is to think how to position my family 200 years ahead.
Wow.
And he shuts up. He said, that's basically what, in the official capacity, that's all I do in my business. The actual running of business has been passed to my son and my grandson and whatnot. That's what we do in official capacity. And my grandfather had obviously never heard of something like that. I mean, 5-year plans, 3-year plans, 10-year plans, but who in the world plans 200 years out there? Talk about generational wealth, right? So he says, okay, great. That's phenomenal. What, I appreciate the advice, yada, yada, yada. Now, you may or may not know this guy, but this name is a household name in Asia. Do you know who owns Land Rovers, the company Land Rover? And
I don't.
it's an Indian company called Tata, T-A-T-A.
Okay, cool.
The owner of that company, Tata, probably the original Rockefeller type multi-billionaire in 1920s, was that guy. The original patriarch of the family was Tata. That's who the guy was. And that story made a dent on this young 9-year-old. However, truth there was to it. I don't know how much truth was there to the story. That generational wealth is not about these 2-year, 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plans that we sometimes make. It's truly about putting ourselves in a position to make decisions that, done right, can genuinely impact 200 years ahead of what's going
Wow.
to happen to you and your family. And I'll
So
end
good.
with this. So 1983, this, even if my grandfather was bullshitting me and the story was only 10% true, this much is true. 1983, I asked my grandfather, so what was Tata doing in 1922? And generational wealth is all wonderful, but what was he investing in 1922? Listen to this, Gabe. I knew nothing about any of this in 1983.
Right.
No one in the world knew anything about this in 1983. But in 1983, my grandfather told me that in 1922, Tata was investing in solar energy and in desalination.
Wow.
Talk about having the vision, the resources, the plans, the information. Who knew about alternate energy in 1983? Forget 1922. Who knew about water being such a precious resource in 1983? Forget 1922. And these guys are investing in 1922 in these technologies. And the proof is in the pudding today. Even, 100 years out, this is exactly where we are. And imagine where these technologies will be another 100 years from out there. So, there was definite truth to what the technology, what the things that these guys are getting their hands into.
That's awesome, dude. That's yeah. And guys, so for those who are watching this right now, this is the reason why I wanted AG to come and talk. I saw him post something a while back, and I know of AG. We've met before. And so I just wanted to get him on and really say, hey, look, share some of this stuff, because I know he knows a lot of the data to go behind it. And then he has the wisdom of real estate investing. He does it on a daily basis. He's always involved in the marketplace, definitely heavily involved in the Houston marketplace. And a lot of wholesalers, a lot of investors turn to him to go for real acquisitions and other stuff, ask him questions from there. And so This is huge though. So we want to start off with a couple of the easy things. So what's happening locally, what's happening 90 days out, what's happening maybe next year, what is some of the big people are doing to where we can understand how to strategize and position ourselves. And then from there on, let's just go into the generational wealth stuff and really talk about why we need to be positioning ourselves today. And that's one of the things that I've always gone to different mentors and stuff is saying, hey, let's talk about positioning. It's a great topic of mine because it helps me to get out of the minutia of today. Today's always going to be tough. You know, there's always going to be stuff that happens, the work stuff, things going to come up. But you got to get your head looking way farther down the line, especially if you're going to do real estate investing, because it's really easy to do real estate investing and look at it as a transactional type thing, like you mentioned. Because it's not easy to do quick cash, but it's the normal thing to do is quick cash and to hurry up and sell wholesale, whether it's flipping or even short term.
It's a job.
Yeah,
it's a job.
It is a job. So if you don't look further enough out, then it becomes a hard job. So you want to be able to have fun while you do all this stuff. So, all right, guys. Well, I put the link in the chat. It should be in here. Let me make sure. Yeah, it's in the chat here. So we are good. So I'll see you guys Monday night, and we'll be starting around 7 p.m. this coming Monday, right?
Over and out, my friends. Looking forward to speaking now to your audience, Gabe. It'll be fun.
Appreciate it, man. All right, I'll talk to you later, dude. See ya.
See ya.